Welcome to the Plan B CRNA podcast. I'm your host, Bobby Jones, and I'm so excited that you're here. The Plan B CRNA podcast is the only show made specifically for nurse anesthetists who are exploring options outside of their traditional career paths. This is the place to expand your mind and your goals as we uncover new ways to produce side income together. Join me for some honest, unscripted discussions with other CRNAs who are transforming their financial lives. This episode is brought to you by On-Call Capital. On-Call Capital is dedicated to educating CRNAs and other healthcare providers about investing outside of the traditional stock market. On-Call Capital also provides opportunities for you, yes, you, to create passive income and generational wealth while also lowering your taxable income through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, make sure you do that right now so that you don't miss an episode. Thanks so much for joining me today. And now, on with the show. Welcome to another episode of the Plan B CRNA podcast. The more I learned about our guest today, the more I just knew that I had to have her on the show. My whole reason for creating this podcast was to give a voice to those in the CRNA community who are creating income outside of their traditional careers. Lo and behold, Christin Stoner has been giving those CRNAs a place to go for nearly 2 years already via the CRNA Hustle and Grind Facebook group. Nearly 3,000 strong, this group has been instrumental for many who found wisdom within its discussions. Of course, as a CRNA, wife, and mother of 2 boys, Christin already leads a busy life. But she's also a wine consultant, Thrive wellness marketer, and overall advocate for CRNAs who are creating their own Plan Bs. Let's not wait any longer. Christin, welcome to the show today.
Oh, welcome. And thank you so much for having me. This is exciting.
Yeah, I've been excited to have you on the podcast. I can't believe I've missed the group for 2 years, and
I know.
My Google skills must not be up to par. I searched for side hustle and Plan B, and I don't know how I missed it, but I'm glad to be on there now, and so glad to have you here today. But so let's start off with just telling your story. What led up to your decision to pursue your Plan B or C or D, as it is?
Yeah. So I think I'll take it back to 2006, 2015. I graduated anesthesia school 2014, and I was always taught to, go to school, get your education. If you have debt, it's okay. Get your job, work your 9 to 5, or in our case, 6 to 3, 6 to 6. You work your job, and then you do that for 30, 40 years, and then you retire at the end of that. Well, along the way, a lot of things have happened since then. My husband, Josh Stoner, he was a strength and conditioning coach for University of Missouri for 12 years. Then he went to Coastal Carolina for 2 years, and he came back to Mizzou. I can talk a lot, so I will get back to that. Coaching changes happened in December of 2015. And my husband, for the first time, was without a job. That was the first time. We've been together since I was 18 and he was 23. We're now 40 and 45, almost 41 and 46. We've been together for a very long time. But for the first time, my husband didn't have a job. While it only lasted for a few weeks or so, it was definitely something that made me start thinking outside the box. What can I do for additional income? Well, I knew that I had a great career as a CRNA. I also knew that I just never thought in a million years that my husband would never have a job. So fast forward to, 2019. I was looking for something, and I love to drink wine, and this opportunity presented itself. And so why not? I'm not very good at the wine business because I like to drink it, put it on auto ship, and go from there. So when people ask me about stuff, I'm like, I don't know. It has a great wine club, and I put it on auto ship, and wine shows up at my doorstep. So
nothing wrong with that.
But along the way, I was looking for more customers, and you can plug into different podcasts and different things. And they always tell you that at some point you kind of wear out your warm market. And so if you're looking to grow your business, you need to reach out to other people. So March of 2019, I decided to launch this group called CRNA Hustle and Grind, a place for CRNA side gigs. The name is kind of corny, but I love it because Our group is almost 3,000 members, and we have businesses from all over. We have direct sales, we have brick and mortar, IV hydration business, aesthetics businesses. We even have one CRNA who designs furniture, another one who is an interior decorator. There are so many different businesses out there. I just started because I wanted to get some more customers for my business. Along the way, I found another business that really fits me that I did not know that I needed. And that's where my Thrive business came in. I'm a consultant or a promoter with Lavelle Health and Wellness, and I started that in September of 2020. Once again, I never really thought that CRNAs would be without a job. You know where I'm going with this. So
yeah,
I was working really hard in November of 2019 to pay off the last part of my student loans, just to really get after it. And I was dumping money into debt. I was following the Dave Ramsey plan, just putting money into debt. Well, then COVID happened. And while I was very fortunate, I was not furloughed. I saw the amount of people in our community, our very small community, that were being furloughed, that were being let go completely, having to move because they weren't able to maintain that job that they had moved their family to that city for. It really gets you thinking of how else do you create additional streams of income. My husband and I are not in a place where we can just go buy a brick and mortar business and start that. As we know, a lot of businesses are closed or have limits on them now. So that's how I just started thinking outside the box. And I knew that if I was thinking that, then there must be other people too. And lo and behold, we're 3,000 members strong. And I have learned so much from this group. So that's just a little bit about me.
Yeah.
And how we got started.
I mean, so you got into the Thrive Wellness part of that, and you mentioned that it spoke to you. So what was it about that business that spoke to you? And also, if you could circle back around to maybe some of the starting phases of getting into each of your different businesses. How much did it cost to get involved in these businesses, and what did that look like in the beginning phases?
Yes. So whenever I started with the Scout and Cellar business, it was like $240. You get a consultant packet. It came with 4 bottles of wine, and I was good to go. I was like, all right, sounds good to me. And I knew I had nothing to lose. That's the big thing that always has drawn me to network marketing is I don't want to put up a large amount of money up front only to be not successful at it. While I know that there's many people who are able to do that, we are not in the position to do that. We have 2 boys. They're 13 and 16. They're extremely busy with their sports. We travel with football. We travel with wrestling. Owning a brick and mortar business at this time is not ideal for us. Maybe in the future, but this is what direct sales has done for me. When I started with Lavelle, which is the Thrive business, it was free to join. It's a cloud-based business, so they didn't have overhead. And once again, when COVID hit, things shut down. And I was like, wow, the cloud-based business, it gained my attention more and more. So that was something that really drew towards me. And I hate even admitting this, but when I went to anesthesia school, I put on some weight. I mean, I was busy with clinicals, balancing, life and family, and I put on some weight, and I wasn't feeling very well. And the fact that I just always felt very tired, my joints ached. I just didn't feel like my old self. Well, one of my friends said, "Hey, why don't you try this?" And I said, "Okay, why not?" And I was like, okay, let me try something else. Let me try this. And so it has just grown from there. And I have to brag on myself. I'm officially 24 pounds down. And I feel amazing. Right. So it's exciting. So yeah, it has just fit my lifestyle. And that's what I have found with just having a business. You have to find what works for you.
Yeah, I've discovered that a lot of people, they get into these because they start using the products that they end up sharing with other people. And I guess my own business is that way as well, where I got in investing in apartments, and it's like, wow, this is awesome. And how can I just share this with other people? And that's how my business started. And I'm finding that more and more people are in that same boat.
Yes. And that's another thing too. I was looking for customers, but what I found was this community has reached out to me. They have, when I mean that, I mean like we have one CRNA on there who is offering advice on how to transition from a W-2 business to a 1099 business. Mm-hmm. We have another CRNA on there who does home flips. She flips homes and stuff. Yeah. Another one talks about how her and her husband were able to grow $1 million business from real estate. Things that I never things like that. I'm like, wow, I have learned so much from our community, and I love it. And I love sharing too. So that's why I love sharing. So.
No, this is awesome. This is great. So, I mean, and obviously you're already a very busy person, with, yes. with having your career and being a mom of 2 boys who are all over the place, it sounds like, yes. with their sports. So, how do you find time to do these different things? Are you working full time as a CRNA, or are you yes. cutting back on that? You are working full time.
Yes, I work full time as a CRNA. I think it's very important for women to have their own. It's very important for women to have their own income. I think it's very important for women to have their own career. I don't think this is just my own horn, but my dad always raised me. He always said, it's okay if you don't work, but what are you going to do if something happens to your husband? What are you going to do then? And that has always stuck with me. And it's something that when my husband lost his job, my husband's he was a Division I strength conditioning coach. I never in a million years thought he would ever. My husband, and actually he's at Stephen F. Austin. He's in Nacogdoches. So yay, lumberjacks. That's always exciting.
Oh, very cool.
So it's something that I think is very important. I'm a full-time, I work Monday through Thursday. I do 1099 stuff, and I absolutely love it. So
cool. So, and then, so how do you find the time then to do all these other things?
Some days I do, some days I don't, to be honest with you. Really
I love that answer. I love that answer. So many people will tell you that, oh man, I've got to, you just got to be consistent and you got to be on it every day. And like some days you just need a day off.
Yes. And what I found too was that, I would always say I didn't have time, but I always had time to watch Bravo. I always had time to take my kids to their sporting events and sit there for 2 hours and watch them do their sports. I found that I didn't have time, but yet when I was at the baseball field, I would spend all day there. So you see where I'm getting at. There's always time. It's always just about being more efficient with your time and how you utilize it whenever. As long as I have Wi-Fi or internet, my LTE is good, then I can work my business from anywhere when I want to on my own terms. Cool.
So how have you seen your side income change over time? How you've been doing this for a few years now. Have you seen that exponential growth once you got into it, or has it been more of a slow grind?
A little bit of both. I was with one business for a while. I really enjoyed it, but I was never able to break a certain number that I wanted to break. And so then I kind of dabbled a little bit, it was like a MLM roller coaster is what I would like to say. And then I found, I actually just recently hit a car bonus as well as a $12,000 bonus with the current company. And, that may not sound like a lot of money for some people, but if you could just put that money into savings and just let that money grow or invest that money, there's just so much you can do with it. I get paid every Tuesday from our business, and the fact that I have income coming in at different times, in addition to my 1099 work, by all means, I will take that any day.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps. That's for sure. So, and like you said, if you take that money from that side business and you're using it to invest and just grow your wealth over time, for sure. In the future, that's going to look a lot different than it does now. So
absolutely.
So what do the next 5 to 10 years look like for you guys? What do you see?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. We live in Rockwall, Texas now, and we moved here because the schools are amazing. We love the town. My husband works 3 hours away in Nacogdoches, Texas during the week, so he comes home on the weekends. Our oldest one is 16, and he'll be graduating high school in a couple years. So we have college to look forward to. And then my little one, so what year? It's 2021. My little one graduates 2026. So I guess empty nesting. I don't know. What are you supposed to do when it's just you and your husband?
I think about that way too often now. And my kids are 10, 6, and 4. So we're not even close to that point yet. But just the idea of the first one, kind of flying the coop here, it already is going through my mind. And like, wow, we're going to have a lot more time. Just my wife and I, we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do.
I look at him, I go, all right, it's just us now. Okay, now what do we do?
Absolutely. Well, so what are some other tips and tricks that you've got for folks that maybe you've learned from the Facebook group or you've just learned in your own business? What can you tell people that are looking to get started?
I think number one is don't be closed-minded. If you see a group that may interest you, go ahead and join that. If there's a business or something that you may want to do, just go for it. Just say yes and just go for it and try it out, because you'll never know unless you actually try. That's, you hear people say, oh, well, what if you fail? But what if you fly? What if you actually succeed at a business? We had one CRNA, and I love sharing his story. We had one CRNA, and I saw him post, because I'm the only admin for the group, and I'm the only person who approves the post in the group. And I have really, I don't know, it's something that I really have enjoyed doing. I would approve his post, and I would see this. One day, I kid you not, one day he holds up this thing, and he's like, guess what, y'all? I just resigned as a chief CRNA because my side hustle has now succeeded, or has exceeded more than I make. And I mean, you should have seen, everyone was like cheering him on. Everyone was like so excited for him. It was really cool to see someone. I mean, that's something that we can all relate to. So
no, absolutely. I agree with you
just
there.
say yes. Just try it. If you can afford
so
to.
Cool.
That's
well, and it doesn't sound like it costs much to get into yours. And I'm a big advocate for, just dip your toe in far enough to find out the information you need to make a good decision for yourself.
Absolutely.
But go ahead.
I was going to say, one reason why I do like supporting other CRNAs is because, I mean, I love Amazon Prime. I can order anything from Amazon Prime. But, if there's a CRNA on here who's like, I'm selling skincare, or I'm selling, this, or I'm selling that, and she gets money. She's like, or he gets money. He's like, I can pay for my kids' private school. I can pay for the daycare. I can pay for the nanny. I can pay for the housekeeper. I can pay for the date night or the vacation. You get to do whatever you want to with your side hustle money. And even if it's just a little bit, just to do something a little extra for you and your family, I mean, I'll be there to cheer you on.
Yeah. Well, and it's not always about the money that you make. It's about some of those relationships and that journey that you're taking along the path to, getting better at whatever it is you're trying to get better at.
Absolutely. And, there's a lot of, I don't like to say older CRNAs, but there's a lot of older CRNAs in our group too, that, they're like, hey, how do you work Instagram? How do you work these Facebook groups? But you know what, if I can help them with that, and then if I have a clinical situation, I'm like, hey, have you seen this before? It's all about helping one another. And like you said, those connections and the community. This group is just awesome. I love it.
Yeah. I have to laugh because you mentioned Instagram, and I mean, I know that I'm, a little younger than you are, but oh my gosh, I am no good at Instagram. I swear.
I love Instagram.
I'm trying it. I tell you, if it were on a computer and I could do it via computer, I'd be so much better at it. But just, I never think to take it out, and use my phone pics and stuff. I'm going to get better at it. That's one of my new goals, is to get better at Instagram. I'm all over other social media sites, but that's the one that is kind of tripping me up to start off with, but I'm going to get better at it for sure.
So I like Twitter because I like to get different things from there. But I feel like when I make a post on Twitter, it's like my grandma trying to like make a post. It's just, I am not a Twitter person.
I'm shouting into the void on Twitter. It's like, hello, hello, hello.
I know.
Does
anyone see me? My 12 followers? Yay!
Right. But it's funny how that can change, though. I mean, I went from just a few people being interested, and I put one post out on a couple of different Facebook groups, and all of a sudden my email list exploded into, over 1,000 people. And so that was kind of my aha moment, like, oh, wow, this is a numbers game,
Yes.
and yes. I'm sure, when you opened up your Facebook group and you started that off, I'm sure that you had some stories that were similar to that.
Yes. So day one, I had 50 people. Day two, 600 people. I was like, wow. Okay. So now I have to be creative as far as like, how do I let people in? How do I verify that they're a CRNA? I am like 98.5% sure that they're all CRNAs in our group. Because early on, a couple of like recruiters and things like that may have slipped in our group. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I want our group to be solely for CRNAs.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's understandable. And that's, a big reason on my podcast, I'm making this CRNA specific. I want to find out the stories of CRNAs across the country. That's the whole goal, is to let people tell their own stories. So, man, this has been great. I've really enjoyed this conversation today. And,
good.
So
I can talk all day long.
Yeah. Well, is there anything, any kind of something that's on your mind that you just feel like you need to get out that we've missed today?
No, like I said, it's just one of those things. I think, supporting our community, supporting one another, lifting someone up, being the ray of sunshine in someone's life can change so much. And if you could if you can be positive and lift others up, that's something that you need to do.
So cool. So cool. Well, how can listeners get a hold of you to find out more information about you?
Yeah, you can find me. I'm CJ Super Sparkles on Instagram.
Okay, there's got to be an explanation behind that name.
Yes, absolutely. When right before I started anesthesia school, once again, I was trying to find a side hustle, and I actually sold sequin headbands to athletic bookstores around the country.
Wow. Okay, that's different.
And yes, and I was unable to really keep that up because I had started anesthesia school. But the name Super Sparkles came from my boys because I love glitter. I love sparkle. And both of my kids were like, you should do Super Sparkles. And it just kind of stuck. And my first name is Christin with a C, and my middle name is Jennifer with a J. So CJ Super Sparkles it is.
There you go. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I needed to know that story. But yeah, so how can everybody get a hold of you?
CJ Super Sparkles on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook as well. I do have open Instagram. Instagram is kind of my jam. I really like that. But the Instagram is Wellness Wine and Sparkle on Instagram. And you can find me on there as well. So
very cool. Christin, thank you again for joining us today.
You are welcome. Thank you so much for sending out the email, and I'm glad I responded. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. This has probably been the most lively conversation we've had so far. And as I was telling you before we started, I tried to wear a bright shirt to kind of match the energy that I knew you were going to bring today. So,
you're wearing orange, and my kids, we live in Rockwall, Texas, and Rockwall's colors are orange. So it was meant to be.
Very cool. I'm glad to oblige. So
yes, absolutely.
But yeah, I know our listeners are going to get so much out of this today, and I've really appreciated having you on. Best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
I really enjoyed hearing about Christin's personal journey to seeking out a plan B. There were a couple of things that stuck out to me. We often don't realize how tenuous our financial situation is until it is drastically altered. For many folks, COVID-19 was a wake-up call. My goal with this show is to bring these stories to light so that you don't have to go through some of these hardships before learning about what else is out there. Christin shows a good mix of letting things come to you and going out and making something happen. I've often said that I want to grow my own business organically, but that doesn't mean that I can just sit at home and wait for customers to come to me. I have to get off the couch and do something. And speaking of getting off the couch, how about time management? It's easy to say we don't have the time to pursue something while also spending hours playing Sudoku on our phones. Yeah, guilty as charged. I hope you're able to prioritize the time that you need in order to change your own financial future. That's going to do it for our show today. I hope you'll join me next time on the Plan B CRNA podcast. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Plan B CRNA podcast. If you haven't already subscribed and reviewed the show, I'd be honored if you took the extra time. It really helps to expand our reach and get the word out about the show. If you're a CRNA who is interested in sharing your story on our podcast, I'd love to have you. Please email me at bobby@oncallinvestments.com for more information. This episode was brought to you by On Call Capital. They are dedicated to helping providers like you develop passive income and generational wealth through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. Feel free to check out their website at www.oncallinvestments.com and subscribe to their free educational email series. You can find On Call Capital on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also check out our YouTube page. where you'll find all of the show episodes along with other educational videos. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.